welcome to Waste Breakfast, hashtag what are you saying? Nigeria's #1 youthful breakfast show where we keep it real, think deep and stay 100% relatable. Today we are shining the spotlight on a critical issue that impacts lives, home and entire communities. July flood threat, 20 states in danger, despite 620 billion naira allocation. This is urgent, it's real, and of course it's happening right now. My name is God's Beauty Israel, joined as always by the ever-vibrant Lady Precious. Hello, baby girl. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, God's Beauty.
How are you? This is urgent.
I'm doing well. How are you doing too?
Beautiful as usual. What's going on from your end? Tell me. I mean, given the weather is
Trust me,
cold,
home.
it's chilled, just tell me about it.
The weather really has nothing on me at this point. I'm just more concerned
Okay.
about other tasks I have to get on with today. So it's just been on lately. But apart from that, I'm doing very well.
I love it. I feel like this story that we are taking today, or the topic we'll be taking today, is really a hit one because, I mean, looking at it, the money alone, the money that is even the budget that is allocated for this project, right, is a huge one. And then the fact that we still have all of these warnings, you know, still persisting, I mean, it's really crazy. We've been talking about flood for the longest of time now. So how come in 2025 we're still having this the conversation? It just means that there's definitely something that we are getting wrong, you know, and thank God we have, you know, an expert guest that will talk on it today. All right, there's a lot to unpack today, but first, let's take a moment to reflect on history because the decisions of today and the possibilities of tomorrow. What happened on this day in history? Okay, I'm very sure that's a question everybody wants to answer. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts. Call us live on 070-2500-7749 or 070-1424-2420. And while you're here, be part of our growing community. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Catch us live on GoTV, channel 145. Like, share, and invite your circle to join the conversation. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you up to speed with the stories making wave around the world. Stay with us. Be back shortly. Welcome back. Let's take a quick tour of today's top global headlines, pulling from the Punch, the Guardian, and the South China Morning Post. All right, straight into the South China Morning Post before we hear from Oluchi on the Nigerian newspaper. Now, the front page, we see the popular, yes, dim sum spot set to shut. That's one of Hong Kong's beloved food landmarks as it's closing its doors. I just hope that, you know, they probably able to sort that out because, of course, they'll be losing money with that. Then the next, we have wider investor pool for Bond Connect. And this is expanding assets for offshore investors in China bond market. I feel like there's a lot going on in China, and I really love the good news that I continue to read. All right, next to that, we have did the austerity drive go too far? This is the rising question about the impact of China's recent economic tightening. And what is dominating the headline today, we have HK is vital link, world can rely on, Lee says. Now, this is positioning Hong Kong as a steady bridge in today's shifting global landscape. All right, so the headline I want to quickly talk about is the headline that is still turning up the heat in the global trade talks, honestly speaking, which is trade threat against 14 nations, also aimed at Beijing. So the United States President, that's Donald Trump, is proposing a 10% tariff targeting nations seen as aligning with China. You know, yesterday, we talked about it yesterday, and what was on the headline was about, it was more concerned about the BRICS, that's this group of countries that came together. I mentioned, a few of them. I mean, the people people that share the BRICS are like the Brazil, we have Russia, we have India, China, and South Africa. Those are the people that started the community. But right now, other countries have joined in. But my problem now is with the fact that, the United States president is no longer concerned about the BRICS alone, but he's more concerned about, China. And I think there's something the analyst even had to come up with. Now, let me continue with and it says that it's a bold attempt to curb China's expanding influence. But experts warn it could ignite new trade tension with global ripple effect. Of course, obviously, looking at it, because, it's one thing to say you don't like what's going on, right? You want your own country to, supersede. You want your own country to be seen and all. It's not like America is not sin. It is sin. So I really don't understand where, what goal exactly that, Trump wants to break, or what barrier he wants to break, or what. Because, back of my head, I'm like, United States is sin. And you need every other country around you to be able to be where you are right now. The relationship they have with China, most technologies that they have are, we are actually made from China. So the fact that your country is where it is today is because of that relationship that they have. But right now, the fact that you're saying that, you have an issue with other countries if they align with China's point of view. Given that, they have decided that they want to start using their own currency instead of using dollar. Honestly speaking, I really don't know what's going on with Trump, but I just hope that he knows what he's doing. Because, like I said yesterday, from the last trade war that we saw, it wasn't a funny one. And now that there's peace, he's still trying to bring in chaos. I just hope that he's ready for it, Sha. All right, that's all I have for you on the South China Morning Post today. I can't wait to hear what Luchi has for us from the Nigeria newspaper.
All right, thank you so much, Coach Beauty. It's funny how we're revisiting the story again. I think it was yesterday I saw that Nigeria is also going to face this whole 10%
tariff. Because we also get things from China.
True. So it's quite sad, and let's see how it really unravels. But Nigerian papers have some really interesting stories that I'd like to talk about, starting with The Guardian. The major headline reads, Autonomy, Varsities fume as federal government fixes 150 cutoff mark and 16 years admission age. We also have stories on the ADC. It rules out preferential treatment and bars presidential aspirants from public declaration. On the Osun story, Huriwa stages protest and demands suspensions of council funds. We also have NAFDAC uncovers expired chemicals and additives worth 1 billion naira, arrest 3 in Lagos. Rep seeks to increase seats to 552, allocate 10% to women. And of course, last story here says U.S. halts multiple entry visas for Nigerians, reduces validity to 3 months. Oh, pardon me, there's still more stories above the headline. There's a story on the LP faction. They are deferring on threats to expel Obi. Federal government issues 3.5 million passports, saves 1 billion naira from reforms. 40% of Nigerian children are malnourished. This is a lament from Shetima. But the story I want to talk about has to be this recent story on, universities and JAM, because I think it's really outrageous. So the newest update is that cutoff marks for polytechnics is going to be 100 now. And then for universities will be 140. And this particular, would I call it initiative from the JAM, that's the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, is quite outrageous. It doesn't even make sense at all. So let me take you through the full story before I make my comment. The quest for autonomy by Nigerian public tertiary institutions yesterday received another body blow as the federal government, the primary financier and principal of those schools, reviewed and fixed a blanket admission criteria that pegged the entry age at 16 years. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, the federal government agency, also raised the minimum cutoff mark for university admissions from 120 to 150 for the 2025-2026 academic session. And while admissions into College of Nursing was pegged at 140, polytechnics and colleges of education were left at 100. And this decision reached during the 2025 policy meeting on admission in Abuja, reflected a collective effort by stakeholders to prioritize transparency, fairness, and academic excellence in the nation's tertiary education system. So beyond all this plenty grammar I've spoken, I feel that this is going beyond standard, because
usually, I mean, when I was going to enter school, the cutoff mark that we're used to is 200 for JAM. That's for higher institutions. And that alone, Seb, was almost just making it possible for many people to get into school because that's like 50%. JAM is over 400. So using 200 as the cutoff mark is already 50% that you are allowing, 50% success rate in that sense. Now, reducing it to 150, that's like maybe 60, 65%. And that's bringing the standard down. We're clamoring for, an educational system that can compete on a global stage. If we keep bringing our standard down, what's the chances that we have? Pardon me. So I feel like a lot of review needs to be done. I understand that, there are a lot of problems with the recent JAM. So that means that a lot of things have been able to cause this particular decision to be made, considering the fact that students didn't pass and everything. But even at that, we shouldn't bring down our standard because we want to admit a number of people. Imagine having 100 as cutoff mark in polytechnics. Who exactly are we admitting? Do you understand my point? It seems very hilarious, honestly. So that means you just need to have 100 over 400 to be in a polytechnic. You don't deserve to be there, I think. I think you deserve to learn more. You deserve to be better groomed before you can get in. I don't think this is a point where we need to reduce standard. We're trying to compete on global stages. So I think this should be revisited. Let me take you through the punch. The punch also had, today I want to focus on the educational sector because my visit to school yesterday showed me that now, I'm still someone that is really passionate about the educational sector. I went for my clearance yesterday, and there's this rumor about ASU strike. So before I graduated, 2 years before then, we have been able to enjoy seamless academic calendar, no strike. And I think this present administration did well in ensuring that we are able to sort that. But now, the funny thing is, yesterday there was this rumor that they're going to go on strike, and that's because June's salary was withheld, which is quite sad. But there is a recent update which I would like to let every young person listening outside there to know, so that they don't feel agitated. Federal government on Tuesday released the June 2025 salaries of lecturers and other tertiary institutions. So, following this release, branches of the Academic Staff Union of Universities wrote to their members to resume work. So this is just to alleviate the tension that everyone had. Because I remember someone had to put on his status that I have 1 more month, ASU. Please just let me leave this school in peace. And it was causing a lot of tension. Even when we went for our conference yesterday, everybody was like, I have to collect it today before I hear story, and I'm coming back in 3 years or so to pick it up back. So I'm glad that this has been sorted, and I think ASU said she didn't calm down. This administration is favoring them, I would really say, because it's just 1 month salary and you're clamoring for strike. What of when you didn't get 8 months salary? You people survived, but I'm glad that this has been sorted and people should be back, to the normal activities in the university. So that's all the story I have for you today.
I love it. Beautiful. True. The stories are interesting. I mean, I like the parts where, they're paying salaries so that, we don't start hearing of strike again. It's definitely going to be very sad if we keep having the same issues. I feel like, with different administration, the reason why we have different people on that seat is so that there are so many, so that the problems, start getting better. We don't have, we don't keep repeating the same thing over and over again. So I would say that, the Minister of Education and every other person that is in place, education-wise now, they're actually doing their job. The fact that I've not dragged anybody in a while. Okay, well done. Then I also like the part, you took on the, your stance on, the score that was, initiated newly. I feel like, keeping it at 100, I want to believe that they have a reason for that, actually. I don't want to say, I don't just want to say why exactly would they do that. I want to believe that, they have a reason. But then you also take us back to the fact that when we see certain kind of news, I feel like whenever, we hear this kind of news, there should also be the reason why they are, taking such initiative. We should also hear what the reasons are so that we are able to check and balance it and say, okay, maybe this one makes sense or maybe this one doesn't, From your own angle now, of course, it doesn't make any sense to you. And if you like, they need to, it needs to be revisited. But then I feel like if they have added the reason to it, the reason why, they have to change the numbers and all, probably to make more sense. Well, that's all we have for you, on the news today. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll hit the main topic for today. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Before we go into the big story for today, it's important to, unveil the most beautiful Presido incoming. My love, Okikiola, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's going on? Tell me.
Nigeria will humble you, but
right.
We are humble.
To be precise.
We are humble. Thank you.
How are you, though? You look beautiful this morning.
I'm
what's
fine.
The secret?
It's a natural face Wednesday, and it's very cold. As I said, I'm just excited to be here anyways. Here to impact as always. So yeah.
It's important. Now, I'd like to hear your take on this particular comment I have here. Let me quickly read it out. And it says, it will not let our kids strive to be better. If you fail, do better. That's it. 200 worse and is a good cutoff mark. My recommendation should be more about ensuring states give cutoff marks according to the level of education of their states. So, Oluchi gave us this, good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing. I mean, to some students, I don't want to read. It is a good thing, right? That, the cutoff back for, I think she said for university now is about 200, I'll be 140, that's I'll be 150, that's what she said. Then for, what's the name of this other people? Theirs is about 100, yes, Polytechnic, that's about 100, that's their cutoff mark. So I was telling her that it was one thing for us to have this kind of news. I think that, for every time we have news like this, they should also state out the reason why, this particular initiative is, changed and all, so that we understand the angle they are coming from. Because from Oluchi's angle, it's not making sense. I mean, from also this user, it's not making sense, right? According to this person, 200 is okay. Which one is taking it to 140 or 150 is not cool. I mean, if you fail, it's okay for you to do better. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think
so
about
honestly, I completely agree with the commentator, and in this sense is if we start to look at cut-off mark according to states, it will start to address some of the states that have more out-of-school children.
Right.
If we really look at Lagos, it's not that prominent as maybe in the north or in other states where out-of-school children are very prominent there. So maybe the cut-off mark should apply to states where the out-of-school children are really in high numbers and they need to bring them in. But then the problem is, after they've brought them into this system, what kind of education are they giving them? If it's the same lacram lapor that we're going to be experiencing, then these people will not get the essence of education even after they get into school. So it's going to be that situation of, I passed through school, school did not pass through me, that kind of stuff. So for me, when I wrote JAM and they told me 200 is your cut-off mark, I was reading like my life depended on it. And even when I got 206, after the exams, it was almost like, hey, oh God of my father. Even the fact that 6 would have either taken me out of school or kept me in school, but it made me strive, to want to read, to do better. And I've seen some people who have failed JAMs and they will say they want to come back again. I don't see the big deal there. If you want to do it, just do it right. Read right, do it right. The 200 is a test of your knowledge. Right. So if you can get it, of course, that is all right by me. So I don't know how they, as you said, maybe there are reasons behind it from their own angle.
Yeah.
It's very important, but from the angle of people who have written JAM and who are just mere civilians, it's a long shot, honestly.
Right. Now to the big story for today. Thank you so much, Okiki. July flood threat, 20 states in danger despite 620 billion allocation. It's a question we keep happening. How does a country allocate 620 billion naira for a flood control, yet year after year, lives and property remain at risk? Joining us to unpack this urgent crisis is renowned climate expert Desmond. And honestly speaking, I think it's now time for us to have this conversation. Now, Desmond, quick one. Why are 20 states still in high risk for flooding in July, despite the 620 billion naira funds allocation? What do you think? First off, do you think that this money is even enough? Let's even start with that, because some Nigerians are saying probably is. I mean, Oluchi was saying yesterday that probably is just audio money, right? But tell us, what's your thoughts on even this threat? I mean, this story that we've heard now, it's a lot, to be honest. I mean, given that this is something that we've been dealing with for a long time, but it's not looking like we are seeing any headway anytime soon, really.
Yeah, it's very, very, very good that you're actually bringing up the question of, is this money enough? It is not enough, even if you multiply it times 5 times. And that is assuming that the money gets allocated to the specific areas that it needs to get allocated to. And it's also interesting to observe that all those newspaper headlines that your team analyzed very, very effectively. I love some of the comments. And by the way, I feel very, very honored to be in the presence of beautiful ladies. It's a big honor to me because, yes, there's a reason, and we'll go deep into that if we have time. Because back to the major issue now, is that money enough? No, it's not enough. And why isn't it enough? Because the reality is that there are going to be far more of these heavy rain occurrences. And I would have loved to have seen more reference to the environment in the newspaper headlines. Right. And you know why? These occurrences are going to come because it's no longer called rainfall. It is now known as rainborne. The amount of rain that falls in a short period of time in so many of the places here in Nigeria. We had it in Mokwa, where they said there are still almost 1,000 people missing. The amount of rain that falls in these places, not just here in Nigeria, what of Texas, where they are still reeling from the massive amount of rain that fell in such a short period of time. They said that the rain that fell in 5 hours is what would normally have fell during the whole of the summer. That is about 3 or 4 months rain in 5 hours. It's called a rain bomb. And these rain bombs will overwhelm just about any natural system and even the man-made systems that are put in place, unless we dedicate far more effort towards ensuring, number one, we can really, really protect ourselves. And did that money go towards developing what needs to be developed? And that is massive drainage systems, massive clearing of the natural drainage that's there, the streams and the rivers. They should have been dredged. There's a whole lot of things that money could have gone towards, and obviously it didn't go towards it enough. However, as they say, prevention is what?
Better than cure.
Oh, so there's a whole lot that needs to be done. The reality is that this is the most unprecedented situation that humanity has ever faced. And what am I talking about? The main cause of the rain bomb, and that is climate change, which is caused by global warming. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. That's why the United Nations has been crying out for years now, because they have access to all the different global environmental organizations. They have access to the World Meteorological Organization, who measures the Earth's temperature in about 10,000 different locations all over the world, even under the water. Every hour, these measurements are coming into their database. They have satellite imagery, so they can see exactly what is going on. They have all sorts of information coming in, and the United Nations are telling us, guess what they're saying?
Tell me.
Mankind. Oh yeah, my dear. Oh yeah. Let me tell you what they said in 2015, because they have this conference every year. All the world leaders get together. In fact, our leaders are all going to be getting together in Brazil in November. It's called the Conference of the Parties on Environment. Anyway, in 2015, in Paris, they had the conference, and the Secretary General of the United Nations, he said to the world leaders, he said, mankind is waging war against nature, and this is suicidal, because nature always fights back. And that was in 2015. And people were alarmed. They said, okay, well, what's going on? They said the pollution is too much. We're pouring up these heat-trapping gases into the atmosphere, because this world is so intricately constructed that it traps a certain amount of heat that comes from the sun. Not too much, not too little. So this planet is not too cold to support life like other planets. It's not too hot to support life like other planets. It has a perfect average temperature, but we're pouring millions and millions of tons of these heat-trapping gases, and it is increasing the average temperature. So in 2015, all the world leaders got together. And they said, okay, yes, we must reduce the greenhouse gases. Yes, we ratified treaties, everything. We'll reduce it. We can't continue burning, especially the fossil fuel, which is what is causing it. Yes, burning petrol and diesel, and also coal to a great extent. By 2024, guess what? Hey, the amount of this heat-trapping gas, particularly the CO2, carbon dioxide, it had never, ever been so high in recorded history. And also, 2024 was the hottest year ever recorded by humanity, on the back of the previous hottest year, which was 2023. But let me just end on this one. Guess what? All those leaders that signed this treaty, world leaders, do you know that the female gender was only represented by about 9% of them were women. The rest of them were all men signing a treaty. Yeah, we shall reduce it, and we didn't reduce it. Even in our own government right here in Nigeria, how many women are being represented in the highest levels of governance? And this is a very, very serious aberration because we're talking about Mother Nature. And let me ask you a question finally. Can you slap your mama?
That's an impossible task.
You dare not, eh? Want to slap your mother? And this is what we're doing. We're slapping Mother Nature. So yeah, that money that should have been allocated was allocated. They say, you know, what did it do? It obviously hasn't done very much. We need a whole lot more, and we need to make sure that whatever money is allocated, it is judiciously overlooked. It is well spent. It has to go towards protecting people. The other day, just earlier today, in fact, I saw, oh my God, I was crying. There was this, there was a campsite in America where the children always go to every summer. And the flood that came there in Texas a few days ago, on the 4th of July, it just wiped away all these young children who were having so much fun. They go to this campsite every year by the riverside because the amount of rain that fell, that stream, the river it came up by about 20, 30 feet. And it just, we cannot allow this to continue. Huh? And all those who are responsible for allowing it to continue. There's one thing about nature that the Secretary General of the United Nations said. He said, nature always fights back. She gives you what you give her. If you slap your mama, she go knock your head small. Whereas typically, as a feminine creature, as a woman, if you show your mother love, you're going to get love back. So what we're admonishing is change our attitudes and start showing a far more deeper love for nature, who is our life support system. She gives us everything that we need for our survival. Another question for you there. In fact, this question, if you can do it, I will give you a big prize. I'll give you 5 million naira. When I know my money is safe. You want to hear the question?
Of course.
Drop.
Okay, here it comes. Can you hold your breath for 20 minutes?
That would be an ICU problem.
I like that.
You can't. And then, but why not? What is it that we need? What particular essence in the air that we need?
I believe the oxygen is very important. Oxygen. Yes, sir.
It's essential. It's essential. In fact, most people without oxygen for 10 minutes, you're gone. Yeah, our absolutely. Most essential commodity. Yeah, absolutely. And nature, in her benevolence, the loving Mother Nature, she gives us this oxygen free of charge. All the green leaves, the trees, all the leaves, they give you oxygen, your most essential commodity. And that's not all, of course. The water systems, the whole system that brings the rain, not to mention the food, the medication, it's all in nature. Nature is our life support system. And we're causing a lot of damage to her, as is shown by the kind of flooding that we've been seeing in recent times. There must be a very, very fundamental change in our attitudes. And one of the ways that I do believe we're going to bring about that change is to embrace the woman, embrace the female gender far, far more in our deliberations and in our decision making, and even in some of the leadership cadres. I know there's this thing where they say, the man is the head, and the woman, yeah, okay, if the woman is the neck and the man is the head, how will the head turn? without the neck allowing it to turn, or making it turn for that matter. So there needs to be some fundamental changes. But unfortunately, we're going to see far, far worse results from the kind of thing that's going on with these rain bombs that is falling.
This is a lot. Thank you so much, Desmond. Honestly speaking, we'll go on a short break now. When we come back, I would like us to talk about accountability. How exactly do we now start even tracking this money? Do you understand? I hear you when you say that the 600, billion exactly is not enough. I mean, I'm just thinking, what exactly do we need to ensure that, this flood, do not take away lives and properties, right? And given that, honestly speaking, I would need you to explain that, more. But then, like I said, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll dive into that. Stay with us. Be back shortly. Thank you so much for staying with us. Is Desmond still there? Okiki has a lot to say. Let's hear you, Okiki.
Thank you very much, Desmond, for being so explanatory in this sense. And I believe that Nigerians at home, or wherever they may be, can relate to what you have said. But now we're looking at a people problem now. I've spoken about the government, the implementation, and the things that can happen long-term, short-term, if there's not adequate funding or implementation going into this flood crisis. But now we see a lot of waste disposal, an improper waste disposal in that sense. So I'm asking, how can ordinary citizens start to take notice of being their own brother's keepers in this sense? In some cases, you see people saying that, oh, I clean my own area, so it's none of my business what's happening in another community. But now, almost everywhere in Lagos where I live, there's flood here, flood there. Commuting has become a problem. So how can you address improper waste disposal, especially in somewhere like Lagos, or if you would speak for Nigeria at large?
That's a very, very relevant question. And the silver lining on this very, very dark cloud is a very bright silver lining, because we are all in this together. What I do, especially when it comes to things like waste disposal, it can affect you, it can affect your children, it can affect anybody else. And we need to get that into our consciousness. The situation has changed. It's no longer the way things were 50 years ago, 100, 200 years ago. We have reached a point now whereby if we continue being as irresponsible as we've been, as uncaring for nature and uncaring for each other, it's going to come back. It's already coming back. And this is because of fundamental laws that exist in physics and metaphysics. So they exist in the real physical world, but they're also very, very pertinent in the spiritual world. And that is the law of action begetting reaction. Every action begets a reaction. Yeah. In the physical world, one of the biggest manifestations of that is the reason why our Earth has been circulating around the sun for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. It's the forces of gravitational pull, which is an action begetting reaction that holds it in place. The reality is that on a more simplistic level, if you plant cassava, you know go harvest cocoyam. What you sow is what you reap. And it is there in every scripture that is worthy of being called a scripture. In the Holy Bible, it is referred to as the law of retribution. In the Holy Quran, it is kifara. In the Bhagavad Gita, that's the Hindu scriptures, it's the law of karma. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, surely shall he reap. And this is why the good scriptures, they admonish us to love each other, love your neighbor, or is it peace be unto you? And we need to be expressing this far, far more towards each other when it comes to the litter. If anybody throws something onto the road, if a piece of plastic or something, we should admonish that person. Please, oh, my brother, my sister, please don't do that. Even pick it up yourself if you're nearby. If your neighbor is just being careless and throwing rubbish into the gutter, then the other neighbors must get together, especially the women folk, because I trust the women for this. Women have so much compassion and passion, especially when it comes to protecting the lives of the innocent children. It's not that we men also have that, but women are the ones who give the birth. You carry the baby. And so yeah, women are the prison now. Because you'll be carrying picking, that picking can be playing football inside your stomach and you'll be loving him when he comes. And that's another story. But we're relying on all of us to really have a renewal of our minds. The time has come. So anything that could look as if, okay, it's going to cause problem, is this thing throwing litter around, the water, the rain, will now push it into the gutter, or some of them are just throwing their rubbish into the gutter, and that gutter gets blocked, and these heavy rain bombs that are coming, they will cause flooding. And the most innocent victims, the ones that are most at risk, are the young people, the children. So we have to admonish ourselves and say, look, be far more caring, far more loving. And then, of course, when it comes to the various government agencies that are responsible for this, we have to take tasks with them. The local government, it's not just, okay, it takes a small thing, we vote you in. No, you're there. You're there to do something. And your job description is a very, very clear description. You are a civil servant. You are a civil servant. So you are there to serve the civilians. You're there to serve the people. There's nothing wrong with the chairman of the local government to get out there with his crew to start cleaning up the gutters and so on. In fact, I was very impressed in Lagos some time back. Mr. Governor himself and his commissioner for environment, they were actually doing it. It was a photo op, but at least they were showing, something which is a little bit of concern, not the big managing or whatever. And then this is happening. And then also they should be admonished. The leadership should understand that they are not exempt from these laws of life that I was talking about. You see, I can make a decision that maybe will affect the 40 workers in my Lufasi Park in Ajah, where everybody comes to chill out under the trees. You can see the picture of the trees there. They love it. Okay, so my decision will affect those 40 people. But somebody who is in charge of the local government or in charge of a state, you make a decision, it affects millions of people. Hey, you better make sure that that decision brings blessings into their lives and not curse and pain, because it will come back to you. Otherwise, the scriptures are just talking lies and rubbish. No, I will not accept that. I know that the God that we serve is a miracle-working God. He's a powerful God, and He is almighty. If we're going to say how mighty it is by saying that all, I will be saying all for the next 2 days. Almighty God, who created this incredible, wonderful miracle of a planet whereby the leaves give us our most essential commodity free of charge. The trees also cause a certain amount of rain to fall. The earth has a standard working temperature that actually allows it to be a livable planet. And this almighty God in His scripture, He says that we should be caretakers of His creation, which is normal. It's a logical thing for Him to say. He put the man in the garden to care for it. And the God that we profess to love says, care for my creation. And we say, oh, Father God, we love you, praise you, we praise you, and you're destroying the creation. He will not accept that. So it's a time to change. We have to change our attitudes and be far more caring and admonish each other. Don't throw your plastic on the ground, though. You know, be great.
Thank you so much, Desmond. I don't think I've seen anybody talk about Mother Earth this beautifully before. Thank you so much. But quick one, what immediate steps can be taken today to protect lives and property before the next heavy rainfall, or do I say rain bomb, just like you said earlier? I mean, and I want you to tell us, right, since you said the 620 billion naira is not enough to be able to stop this this flood from happening. I mean, 20 states is a lot, really. I mean, let's not even try to sugarcoat things. Do you understand? It's a lot. So what can we do right now, you know, to stop or to reduce, you know, the flood from happening?
Yes, it'll be actually difficult to reduce the flood at this stage too much. But what we really can do is take proactive steps for at least those who are in really, you know, the real high risk areas. Like we said, Borno State is one of the, one of the northern states actually. Yes. Very happy. Yeah, yes. So they can help those people to evacuate. They can deploy our military services. You know, the army are very well structured. They can actually set up a camp in overnight, you know, in 12 hours. They can set up tents and so on and so forth. So they need to deploy our military to be able to help those people to evacuate, and then just keep a very close eye on the ones that are in the slightly less risky areas. And then massive promotion like you are doing. You know, please don't block the drains. Let's clear up our drains. It's not too late to actually do massive cleaning and clearing of the drains. Even in Lagos here, there are some drains on the Lekki axis that have a lot of weeds on them. That should not be. It's an emergency. We can do it 24/7. It's an emergency. People's lives are at stake. And hey, we're talking of the most vulnerable people, the women and children. No. We have to do everything in our power, and it can be done, at least clearing and cleaning. And then use this as a lesson so that, you know, as soon as the rains pass, we really start taking the very definitive measures, because those rains will be coming back again next year. So what we need to do is just be sure that we can have some evacuation processes in place to help the people to move away if they have to, when they have to.
All right, thank you so much. Honestly speaking, I feel like, you know, probably with all of these things that we've said, we would see, you know, a good result at the end of the day. Okay, here.
Honestly, talking about numbers, while I was reading about the flood, I saw that about 180,000 hectares of land have been lost due to flood, and food insecurity is a big thing. And just like our guests have mentioned, that it goes from one particular problem to a widespread problem, and we're already seeing it from one state to about 20 states now, and then who knows if the other states are going to be safe. Nigeria is very interconnected, so let's hope that the government will take initiative and actually get to work as soon as possible.
All right. Today's conversation isn't... Okay, you want to say something? Desmond, please.
No, I was just endorsing what you said, the hope, and we have prayers to those hope, and I do believe that we shall get results, because one thing I've noticed again, when the women get together and they pray with the passion of the feminine nature, oh boy, things happen. And you know, the scriptures tell us the fervent, effectual prayer of the righteous availeth much. So let's pray into their lives. Otherwise, they get a negative reaction. I think we're going to get a better reaction from the people who are listening to the...
I believe so.
Fingers crossed, actually. Thank you so much, Desmond. Our real change begins with each and every one of us. Accountability is key. Until we close the gaps, the floods will keep coming, and lives and livelihood will, of course, be at risk. A heartfelt thank you to Desmond, my brilliant uncle, Kikiola, you know, for doing this with me, and most importantly, you, my audience, for staying tuned and staying engaged. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button now at Official Upgrade TV. Like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and follow us across all social media platforms. Let's keep shining a light on these critical issues. I'm holding leaders accountable and driving the solution Nigeria desperately needs. Until next time, stay intentional, stay informed, and remember, every voice, every action, every moment counts. Have an amazing day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?